Hello, welcome back to Mofuk Plays KSP. This is episode 5. We're going to call this episode Minmus for obvious reasons that you'll see later. This is the first launch of the day. It is a new satellite that I'm sending around the moon to get us a bunch of science that will help us unlock the final frontier and go deeper into space than we ever have before. I called this the Moon Stud 1. It's a shortening of Moon Study. But I think I managed to do a direct ascent to the moon, which you'll see right here. It's a very somewhat cost-effective rocket. It's got plenty of Delta V to get to the moon and do a few things and still be alright. It's kind of a beautiful looking satellite too. You'll see it here in a minute. So yeah, KSP, I'm happy. I've been having lots of troubles with my game data folder, and you may or may not hear a train passing my house right now. That might be a thing for all of my recordings from now on, but that's fine. That's all right. But yeah, I've been having a lot of problems with my game data folder. Duplicating parts is mainly what's been happening. I have no idea why. Not quite sure why, but I will figure out what is going on. I've already quelled most of the issues. A lot of it was B9 actually. B9 has just been giving me a ton of trouble. I don't know why. I didn't even update it or anything. I am still on 0.24.2. I probably will not be updating to 0.25 anytime soon, as I'll have to get every single one of my mods updated and onto the new patch. And to be honest, I'm kind of enjoying 0.24.2, so it's going to be on there for a while I know everything still works. Here we are deploying all of our ScanSat, getting some imaging going on, our RWPS antenna, getting some science. This is another odd and annoying thing, is whenever you transmit data, your antenna automatically closes, which I'm sure is a thing for all antennas, but that's fine. I just kind of wish you could at least set them to stay open all the time, but yeah. So onward we go. Here's a beautiful shot. Oh, it's worth noting too, I recorded this right after I moved, and I had set up my computer, and I didn't actually have my main monitor up yet. We were using it as a TV in my living room for a bit. So I was using my second monitor, which is considerably smaller. That's why the UI looks so big in this episode. I believe the next episode will look the same way, but just a temporary thing. It's not really a big deal. Here we are, just getting a ton of science around the moon. It's awesome. Awesome. Trying to get as much orbital science out of the way as I can so I can move on to bigger and better things, such as Duna and the other planets. Just completing some contracts. I think that's the contract that led me to even start this mission, was do some science around the moon and transmit it. Yeah, here we are. That's what I wanted. I wanted that one big contract with all the little parts. So here we are, just lowering our orbit, and then I'm going to get myself in a polar orbit so we can actually utilize the ScanSat mod as best as possible. Try to get the moon all mapped out, pick out some future landing spots and such. Here goes that burn. Simple and easy. Schwamp. Alright. Now I'm just going to lower the orbit so we're a little bit less up high, but I'm not going to circularize just because I want to be able to get as much of the science as I can. And eventually this is just going to be a comm satellite, because I actually do have remote tech now, not in this episode, but in a couple episodes you'll see I added remote tech. So this satellite should prove very helpful once that is in place. Notably, most for I want to do kind of a robotics rover mission to the moon, as well as a couple more moon landings. And that will help out a lot once remote tech is in the mix. There we go, right there. Bring her on down. It's a very cool view, by the way. I love seeing Kerbal in the background. It was really hard to get different views on the actual spacecraft with this little monitor. Because I'm used to, I use a 32-inch smart TV as my monitor, my main monitor. And I have an 18-inch, just regular computer monitor for my second monitor. And going from the 32-inch to the 18-inch was very tough to get used to because it is very different and a lot lower quality. Which also explains the resolution. I think this is in 1366 or 1380 by 966. That's what it was. Which is not the greatest, but it's definitely not bad. It still looks good. This game always looks good. So here we are, just getting tons more science, getting in the mix. All right. Yeah, I never really realized how many biomes there actually were on the moon. I've always kind of read the number but never really registered it, but there are actually a lot of biomes on the moon and Minmus, which reminds me, I installed the mod Custom Biomes, which adds biomes not only to, which makes it so there's biomes not only on Kerbal, but on the moon and Minmus, and every other planet has multiple biomes now. So instead of just on the surface of Duna or something, I'll have like the canyons of Duna, or I don't remember really exactly what Dunas were. But yeah, it is very cool, very awesome. It's gonna equate to a much more science, and I think it's a lot more realistic, obviously. It'll give us a chance to kind of target certain areas. But yeah, here's our map. It's looking pretty good so far, mapping out plenty of stuff. I really like ScanSat. I've never actually fully utilized ScanSat in general. I've just kind of had it, mainly because I like the look of satellites and such. But this is cool. You can actually use satellites in here. I was just checking out all the features and what they look like. But yeah, we're getting we have a good mapping slope. Should have this mapped in no time. We're just checking out the different modes, I guess. Updating it. There she goes. Alright, so with all this science, we're going to unlock some new parts. Got some more space plane parts and the nuclear propulsion. It's great for efficiency, and I really want to start building bigger shuttles and bigger planes and such. So here we are with Tedbree Kerbal approaching Minmus. Look from his cockpit. We're going to peek out and actually look at the planet. It's the closest anybody has ever been to Minmus, ever. And hopefully, if today ends right, he's going to be the first Kerbal to ever walk on anything other than the moon and Kerbal. This will be great. Great news. Great times for the Kerbal advancement of technology. It's funny too, this craft almost looks primitive compared to what we've been flying lately, and that's because it's one of my oldest crafts. I believe I launched this directly after our moon landing, which seems like forever ago now, and it actually was a pretty long time ago. I think I'm going to be doing some changes in my series too. I'm going to switch to doing about a week in between each launch, unless I have like a planned double launch that needs to be close together or something like that. But I want to kind of space out and make time go by faster, or else these transfer windows that are like 196 days in game away, it's just gonna take absolutely forever and never going to happen for me. So I want to be able to have a nice little timeline going on. So I'm gonna start skipping a week between each launch, I think. That way too, it'll kind of present more of a challenge for like my space station. And here you can see we're burning into orbit around Minmus, which is awesome. Tedbree is stoked. You can tell how stoked he is. But yeah, it'll present more of a challenge with my space station, because I'll actually have to resupply it a lot more frequently, even though it does have a ridiculous amount of life support right now. But here's on to another one of our old spacecraft. We're switching over to the Moho Probe 1, starting to burn with that little tiny nuclear engine into our intercept burn with Moho. Now, this is the first time I've gone to Moho. Honestly, this is like the 4th time I've gone interplanetary in Kerbal Space Program ever. I've never been a big sandbox player, obviously, obviously I was when sandbox was the only thing we had, but I've never enjoyed really getting everything and being able to do everything at once. I kind of like the progression of the game, like going through the career and unlocking science and such. But yeah, so this is pretty much just a shot in the dark. I waited for the transfer window and just set up a maneuver straight to Moho, so I really hope it's going to be okay. Our ascending node is very far away from, is closer to the planet Moho, which is bad for us because that means it's going to use more delta V to change that plane. So I'm not sure how this is going to end, if I'm going to be able to return it back to Kerbal in the end or not. I'm hoping I can, but I really am not sure, to be completely honest with you. But here we're going to skip ahead, and before we can actually get out and do our interplanetary adjustment burn, we have to go to the Minmus 1 and drop down for landing. Tedbree Kerman is exploring all of our contracts, seeing what he needs to get done on this mission. He's just kind of looking around and aiming for that maneuver node. Now here goes the burn. A little bit early, I guess. There we go. Very short burn. That's what's great about Minmus, is it needs very little delta V to do anything around Minmus, which is nice. There's very little gravity. Yeah, here we are circularizing, and then we're gonna burn into our descent trajectory. Here we go. It's about a 1-second burn, and we are descending. Now, once I do this, I realize that I would really like to get out and pull some of the science out. So Tedbree goes on EVA, gets some stuff, some science going on. He's gonna go pull the very bountiful and delicious science out of there. Oh, look at that beautiful shot of the moon and Kerbal in the background, just peeking around the ship. I love that. Love things like that about this game. It's awesome. Very awesome. But yeah, there he is grabbing the science. He's gonna hop back in. Oh, first we're gonna pull it and then store it again. Perfect. Alright, I'm not gonna do any of those. I guess I'll do a temperature, yeah. Do a temperature study. EVA report. I think it might be a different biome. I don't remember if it was this one or the next one. Yeah, it was this one. Okay, well yeah, I'm gonna pick up a few more science happenings on the way to the surface, but it is almost time to land this beast. It's a very tall thing, I've realized. Here we go, getting another EVA report, apparently. Oh no, I'm actually going to pull the temperature scan, is what I'm doing. Yes. This actually gave him a badge for his Final Frontier profile too. He got the dangerous EVA or something because we were on a suborbital trajectory and he's on EVA, which is pretty cool. There we had an EVA for the slopes, and there's Midlands, so both are good. Slopes actually was a duplicate, but Midlands is good because we haven't gotten that one yet. Now we're going to take data and then store it, and then we're going to hop in. I guess I have a duplicate somewhere. Alright. Here we go, on descent for the hopefully landing of the Minmus 1. And there we can start to see the clouds on Minmus starting to appear, which Scott Manley brought up a very interesting point. That usually indicates a comet. That is, this would be a comet, but it's far too cool to actually be a comet. So I don't know. I think it looks cool nonetheless. Has a very interesting element, and it was very hard to see through that. I had no idea where I was for part of the time. How far away I was from the ground. I was actually just very afraid. Oh, and I decoupled that stage a little bit early too to try to gauge how far away I was. Just kind of keep an eye on it and notice what distance it actually hits the ground. Looks like I'm about 1.4 kilometers up. Alright, perfect. So here we are on descent, descending very slowly. This landing took forever actually. Yeah, here we go at about 3 meters per second. Going down, you can kind of start to see the ground. Getting in orbit. For some reason our nav ball switched to orbit here, which is very strange. Yeah, there we go. Switch it back to surface and get our burn corrected. Trying to come down as slow and easy as I can just to make it a near perfect landing. It's hard to stay patient through all this though, but Tedbree looks so excited. He is ready to make Kerbal history. Get out and do his job and do a bunch of awesome, boring science experiments. Descending ever so slightly. Gonna hit it. We'll get there eventually, Tedbree, and you can do your thing. Alright, we're seeing the ground now. Seeing our shadow, that means we are very close to history. Here we go, Tedbree. Are you ready for your moment of fame? Your 10 minutes in the cameras? Alright. 2.7, 2.6 meters per second, 2 meters per second. Hovering right around 2 meters per second. 2.5 meters per second. We're speeding up. Oh, nope. And slow it right on down and touch down very slightly. And we have contact and landing of the Minsai 1. A historic achievement for the Kerbals. Tedbree is just ecstatic with glee. He can't even smile right now because he's so happy. Alright, lowering the ladder, preparing crew reports, see what our environment is like. Get a very boring readout there. It's time for material study. Mystery goo. You observe the goo. Also very interesting. There's temperature. Awesome. While the material samples were processed, you began to turn your thoughts to how much Minmus looks like a dessert. Delicious. Alright, Tedbree, here is your moment of fame. You were out pulling data and having stage fright apparently on the ladder. He's down ever so quickly. And there he goes saying his final important words of no, this is not dessert. EVA report done. Gathering all the science to get a surface sample. Just the surface seems to be tiny crystal ice stuff. Awesome. Great job, Tedbree. Time to plant a flag. Assert our dominance. Site name, Minmus Greater Flats. I'm going to try to name all of our landings as the biome so I don't land near a similar biome each time. We commemorate another large feat for Kerbal kind. I seem to have some difficulty finding the dash. Alright, way to go. although it made them hungry. Way to go, Tedbree. Alright, now we're back with the Moho Probe 1. We're gonna do some trajectory corrections, course corrections, to try to get an intercept with Moho. Yes, delicious chocolatey A Moho. Alright, so there we go, getting our small encounter. It's not a very good one, but it is an encounter nonetheless, so we are going to just go with that. I also noticed one problem I'm going to have with this craft is once I get remote tech in, I don't think that this dish that's on it can actually communicate with anything. I don't think it'll be able to communicate far enough to go from Moho to Kerbal. So I may have to look into my options. I could always, I'm really against this, but I could somehow manage to get to modify the craft and then put the modified craft in the exact same trajectory as this one is, just assuming that I had that technology before. Or I could just abandon the mission altogether, see if I can recover any sort of science from it. But, you know, I'm not keeping my hopes up for that, really. So, anyways, we're going to come into the research and development. Got a bunch more science. Going to unlock some smaller docking ports. And next. And lastly, we check back in with Tedbree, who's going to go on EVA on the dark side of Minmus and hop around for a minute and grab the science that he can grab. And chill out. He just wanted to go on one more EVA before he returned to his capsule to wait for the Minsai hopper to arrive. Hopefully that will be very soon, but for me, I think that's it for today, and I will see you guys next time. We got some big plans in the works, so keep it watching. See ya.